Toxic corporate phrases. We're going to start with a part one because I'll probably be back for more. But I'm diving into language, practices, and processes that we take at face value, but haven't necessarily spent the time thinking about what they truly mean. We uplift this language, we uplift these processes, we put them on mugs, we put them on planners, we run our teams by them. And as I've had all of 2022 to have space, time, and perspective away from a corporate environment, I've used this opportunity to reevaluate commonplace leadership advice. So, what's today's toxic phrase? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. Let's run the intro. Welcome to Leadership Untitled with Kareen Turner. That's me. On this podcast, we talk about leadership and operational excellence. As I shared at the top, today we're talking about a very popular phrase that I've seen on mugs, planners, probably t-shirts as well. It is respect is earned, not given. Respect is earned, not given. I really want you to think about it as I've had time to think about it and question it. And if it doesn't immediately jump out to you, that's okay. I want you to keep watching or listening. And actually, I'm going to take a break right now to say if you're joining through YouTube, enjoying the visual experience, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. It is an incredible way that you can support the growth of the Leadership Untitled community. So, jumping back into it. If you're not on board yet, you're just like, no, that one actually doesn't sound toxic, keep listening. I did some research into the phrase respect is earned, not given. There are many iterations of this quote. And as a result, there's also credit that's been given to or attributed to many different people. So I don't have one person to credit with this quote. But from my research, I was able to discover what I believe, again, diving in as deep as I could, the original intent. And so I'm going to read it here. The quote originally meant that respect can't be forced just because you want people to respect you. And that sounds true. And that is actually true. You can't force people to respect you. But somehow, through the years, at least from a corporate perspective, this phrase seems to have taken an ugly and toxic turn. And instead of recognizing that respect can't be forced, the phrase has been twisted and is commonly used as a stick by toxic leaders to justify their poor behavior. Now, the phrase seems to be taken actually literally. Respect is earned and not given. So you, as a team member, have to earn respect from another person. You begin at zero, and through your work, you have to prove your worth. And if your work doesn't meet what's often a moving bar, a subjective criteria, even with a job description, the criteria of success and the criteria of quality is often subjective. If you don't meet these moving targets, subjective targets, then you are not worth respect. That is so incredibly toxic. Instead of looking at the phrase as its original intent, again, from the research that I did, we flip it to say respect is earned, respect is given and not earned. That's the original intent. So we're going to flip it. Respect is given and not earned. And instead of leading with respect, leaders focus on what employees offer to an organization and only look at an employee as almost work product itself. And again, if so far you have not yet drifted into why that's toxic, Let me break it down for you even further. When you are working and working to try and meet this, again, ever moving bar, a shifting bar often that is incredibly subjective, when you feel that your only value is what you are able to produce, and if you stop producing a certain type of work, a certain type of result, that you will immediately lose your value as a human, that you no longer serve the organization, that your respect and your worth is only rooted in what you do, then that creates a toxic work environment. If you're a leader thinking, well, no, like that's what we do, we have to get people to work harder and do more. I will agree that we have all, even leaders, have a job description and we have results that we need to achieve. I absolutely understand that. But why does it seem that the majority, and that's shifting, but the power dynamic tilted towards the employer and still does, even with everything that we have seen in the past couple of years, the power dynamic is still towards the employer, towards the corporation. And I often wonder why the corporation chooses to go from a stick perspective as opposed to a how can we work together to build this person up? The stick perspective does not make you a strong leader. It doesn't make you a better leader. Also, treating someone with respect right off the bat because they're a human and respect is just given doesn't make you weak. It's this behavior, it's the toxic behavior of respect is earned and not given that has led to high turnover in certain industries, to burnout, to overwhelm, the great resignation, quiet quitting. It's this behavior that somehow strength as a leader is rooted in me treating employees poorly. And that if you treat employees, your team members with respect, that somehow that makes you weak. And we have to kick that narrative completely out of the conversation. I keep urging you through almost every podcast episode. I keep urging you, leaders, founders, anyone who has team members who reports to them, to remember that the team is at the core of your success. You could have the ability to fundraise incredibly. You could have an awesome idea, but without a team to support that idea to fruition, your company, your results will stagnate and will die because your success is rooted in your team's success. And I know so many of you know that and experience it. But again, as a whole, corporate leadership chooses to lean towards the stick. And when you think about it, especially in a corporate environment with the phrase respect is earned, not given, it's ridiculous to hire someone after a rigorous interview process that where qualifications are vetted, character, that's a whole other topic to get into. But there are rigorous interview processes, more than one interview process, more than one person is spoken to. There's group interviews, there's the interview with the recruiter, then the hiring manager, then a panel interview, then sometimes a team members if you're applying for a leadership role. It's a rigorous process. And then at the end, you have said this is the person who meets the qualifications. They're the best qualified candidate for the role. And yet, when they're hired, leaders still fall into respect is earned and not given, leading with making employees feel worthless. What's even more ironic is that apparently having a leadership title, respect is expected and demanded regardless of behavior. And that is the twisted nature of a corporate environment. You don't get respect automatically. You have to meet my respect, an arbitrary person who you don't know, but I'm going to look down at you until you do arbitrary things, make yourself available after hours, on weekends, burn out towards my mission, and then maybe I'll deign you with a little bit of respect. But because I have a title of a leader or even the founder of a company, that I automatically demand your respect, expect your respect, regardless of my behavior. Again, that's the corporate environment. As I was preparing for this podcast, I a memory came back to me from school, and I actually don't remember if it was high school or university, but I've never experienced it since, where there were teachers who would start the school year off saying, "You are all A students right now." Right now, as you sit here on day 1 of school, you are all A students. You're all at 100%. And it's up to you to do the work and, show the results, and your actions will determine your grade from this moment on. That was so powerful to me because I still remember it, 20-ish years later. I still remember it because I was motivated. I was motivated to keep that 100. It was in my power. And I equate this to respect is given. And I'm walking in as a whole human and I have respect. I'm walking into a corporate environment and I have respect already. I don't have to earn it, it's given. I'm at 100%. And my actions determine through very clear expectations what my results, what my grade in a corporate environment will be. Versus having teachers who went the other way, who made a point of mentioning to us near the start of school that we were all starting at 0. We were all failures on day 1 of a brand new school year. We were sitting at 0. We were effectively failures, and we had to work to gain respect, to gain a grade. That was a less motivating environment. It was definitely a dog eat dog environment in those classes. And it's the same thing, whether you start at 100 or start at 0, but one showed respect, one showed trust, one showed kindness, one was motivating, and the other was not. It smacked very much of, as I think of it now, the respect is earned and not given. And those are environments that employees are seeking to move away from. And if they are not in a position to move away from, then yes, they are putting up boundaries to say enough is enough. I'm going to do the work that I was hired to do, that I'm paid to do, and everything else will be a no or a discussion about what compensation looks like or what else is going to leave my plate of work in order to ensure that the contract that is between us for 40 hours a week and these specific job duties are maintained. If you are a leader listening to this today, I leave you with this question. Are you leading your team from 100 or from 0? One is motivating and seeks to respect team members as humans and for the expertise that they were hired, that you likely hired them for. Or are you leading from 0, making them feel that there's never a way for them to catch up, that their worth is only tied and their value is only tied into the product and the results that they produce? So that's the question I'll leave you with today. Thank you for being here. Share this episode to help improve the landscape of corporate leadership because we do have to make a change. To find out more about Leadership Untitled, visit the website Leadership Untitled Institute, and I will see you here next week for another episode.